Okay, so as always, I start out with a little tricky trick of the day. This time, the trick is to bash your head on that ceiling where it's right at the beginning there before that first bridge. Alright, so here I'm giving a walkthrough of using the rally car in the cave for hill climb racing. I get to 5166 meters, which is a new record for me. There's a couple of main spots that are tricky. One of them is at 2972 meters and the other is at, I think it's 4215 meters. We'll see when we get there. Basically, those spots consist of some really sharp ditches that you gotta be able to hit just right so that you can launch out of them, and so they're pretty tough. But other than that, cave isn't too hard. It's pretty straightforward. You just take your time. The fuels don't really get too far apart most of the time. There's only a couple of spots where you have to be careful about fuel. This is by far not the farthest record somebody's gotten on cave. I've heard of people getting as far as 9,000 or more meters. So that's that. While we're going through the easy part here, let me make a quick mention to my website where people can post their high scores. It is at sites.google.com/site/hillclimbracingforum. It is an unofficial site, one that I just put together so that people could easily just post their scores and compare with others. I ask that anybody that is a top contender, please make sure that you also include in your submission a link to a publicly viewable picture or video corroborating your score. That way we don't have people clamoring about who's cheating, who's not. And it's a lot of fun. So there's a couple of things about the rally car that make it the vehicle of choice for cave. Before the rally car came out, with the original cars, the race car was the best one, and the reason was simply because it has downforce and it has a low profile. It can actually fit through a lot of these narrow passages in the cave, and it, as the faster you move forward, the more force pushes you against the ground. The rally car is similar to the race car. It also has downforce, and it also has a low profile. The main difference, there's two main differences between the rally car, three main differences. The rally car has two wheels that are the same size and has all-wheel drive, whereas the race car has a larger wheel in the back and only has rear-wheel drive. And the race car has a greater downforce once you max out the upgrades than the rally car. So those things make the rally car disadvantageous, but for this one reason, the rally car can get you further as long as you know how to do it right. The nose on the race car is pointy, and the nose on the rally car is pretty flat, as you can see here. And so what that means is when you hit these sharp ditches, the race car gets stuck in them. Specifically at 2972, it's almost impossible to get past 2972 meters with the race car because you have to do something really tricky and hard to kind of fall backwards down the chute towards the ditch so that you're actually facing up before you even land. And that's almost impossible to do. I've only been able to do it once. Whereas with the rally car, if you go downward into the ditch, then you're still going to be okay. You can still get out of it because your nose doesn't get caught in it. So, since the rally car can get you further, there's a couple things you have to keep in mind while you're using it. One is you have to be a little bit more careful because it doesn't have as much downforce as I explained. And so that means on some of these steep hills, you've got to be able to approach them right, and you've got to know when to hit the accelerator and so that you can keep yourself from turning your nose up. Because if you turn your nose up too high, then you just lose contact with the ground, and then you just fall back down. And the best places for you to really punch on the accelerator as you're going up is when you are going uphill on a divot that is, what's the right word? Concave. So there's convex and concave curves along the surface here on the ground. And when you're going uphill, as it starts to flatten out a little bit and then go back up, that's a concave part. And that's kind of where it'll scoop your vehicle, and that's a perfect spot where you want to hit the accelerator more so that your vehicle gets the most grip out of the times when your accelerator is on. Other than that, it's just a matter of knowing particular tricky spots and how you have to take certain risks to get to the spots you got to get to. Okay, so we're at 2,700 meters here, and we're starting to come up on a couple of the more difficult spots, including the infamous 2,972 meters spot. So first we're going to come up on 2,850 meters, which isn't too hard, but every once in a while somebody might get stuck on it. So you go down here, go back up, it's pretty straightforward, and then when you come down here, this is the first spot where sometimes people might get stuck. And so you gotta kind of scoot back and then gun it up. So the idea there is as you're going down, and you're going to do the same thing at 2,972 meters, when you're going down the hill, hit the brakes like crazy so you're sliding down really slowly. And then when you're close to the bottom of that sharp ditch, you're going to quickly go from brake to gas so that you flip the car up and get some momentum going. Okay, so here's 2,972. We're going to do it again. And it didn't work. But I'm still able to get up because I'm able to grind my nose against the ceiling. And that's important because the 2,972 meter is not only is it one of the hardest spots to get, but it is also, for some reason, stuck in between a couple of fuels that are further apart, I think, or at least it's really slow-going terrain between the two fuels. And so you don't really have much chance to mess up as you're going through there, or you'll just run out of fuel. It is possible, if you mess up the first time trying to get up that hill out of 2,972, to kind of, even though you're kind of stuck in the ditch, it's possible to get back out of it and go all the way up. But if you take too much time doing it, then you're just going to run out of fuel. Once you get past 2,972, it's kind of important to kind of take it easy for the next couple thousand meters, because there are a couple of spots here and there where they're very simple, easy to do as long as you're not rushing it. There's a particular spot at 3,500 meters or so, I'll point it out once we get there, that there's a particular spot that you're going down the hill, but it's the first spot where if you're going down too fast, it'll actually level out partially and then go down further, and then you'll just smash your head against the ceiling. So if you notice there, when I was going uphill, I pressed on the gas the most right at that first concave part, right there. Did it again. So close to the bottom, when it's first barely going up, is often where you're going to have that first concave portion of the terrain that you really can hit the gas the most. Okay, right here, 3540, that's that spot I was talking about. You just got to take it slow, and it's really easy as long as you take it slow and you're not going to hit your head against the ceiling. So I should mention, thanks to Fingersoft for creating this game and for creating so many updates so frequently. They keep on adding new cars, they keep on adding new levels. They're great. So they've been very conscientious of their fan base, and they've responded to emails that I've had, and really done a good job producing a good product and then continuing to add more and more to it as it goes along. The latest update they added was a hovercraft. It actually turns out to not be as useful as any of the other vehicles on any levels, but it's still kind of a fun, interesting idea, very counterintuitive since it doesn't go on wheels. And they added a beach level. And strangely enough, the best vehicle right now for the beach is the semi-truck. So we're getting kind of close, a couple hundred more meters, and we'll be at the next very difficult spot where you really have to go down by just holding onto your brakes, sliding down the hill very, very slowly until you get close to the bottom. Because if you just hit the bottom and then try to get out of the ditch, it's really hard. But if you go really slow and then when you get close to the bottom, then you gun it, then you might stand a chance of getting out. Frankly, at least half of the time I mess up and I don't make it up the hill. So we're at 4170 now. It's at about 4215. So is it this one? I can't remember if it's this one. Yeah, I think it is. So I'm going down really, 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 really slowly, and then at this part where it starts curving a little bit more flat, I just hit it hard. And look how I'm grinding my nose, and it still wasn't good enough. But I got lucky. You notice there, I still was able to get out even though I failed on my first attempt. It's very difficult to do that, but don't give up after your first failed attempt. There's still a chance of you getting up if you bounce out of the ditch in just the right way so that you land on that concave groove. That's just what you need to accelerate out. So the rest of this is pretty straightforward still. Basically what happens is I make it to 5166 or something like that. Because I run out of fuel, and I could have taken it more aggressively, and if I do it again I probably will take it more aggressively. Notice this part right here, I did the same thing again. I was stuck in the ditch and I just launched out of it just enough to hit my rear wheel onto the groove and then hit it hard. And don't be afraid if on those really hard hills, if your hood goes flying up, that's okay, because your hood will grind against the ceiling, and most of the time you'll just keep on going and you'll be able to just push right on up. This spot right here where I just grabbed that fuel, that you can see it's a new record because that's where I died before. What can happen there if you're not being careful is you could run out of fuel if you're being too careful, but at the same time if you're going too fast down the hill towards the bridge, then the bridge will just bounce you back up and hit you against the ceiling. So you gotta be aggressive getting to it, but then slow enough going down the hill into the bridge. Right before that fuel, back at 44.75, I think it was. And be careful not to fly up the hills too fast or you'll just get out of control. And these really bumpy parts, just take it for whatever it is. This part, it's not too bad because you can take it slow, you're going to get to the next fuel okay, if I remember right. So no need to rush that one. And again, I'm going kind of slow down here because I don't know where it's going to even out, and I don't want to end up slamming my head against the ceiling, so this is all new terrain for this run through. You also, when you're cresting some of these hills, a lot of times you're trying to be really careful to not, like that. See how I was flying up so high that I grazed my head against the ceiling? A lot of times you're trying to be really careful to not fly up too fast because then you'll just hit the ceiling. But at the same time, the rally car can high center. And so you want to watch out for high centering. Usually what happens if you high center, it's possible to get into this situation where you can't keep moving forward. You can only kind of rock back, and then you just fall all the way back down the hill. See there, I was high centering, and I just got lucky I was able to get over. And this is where I run out of fuel. So, thanks for watching. I hope my advice for those two really tricky spots was helpful, and have a nice day.